Right. Now we will discuss ulnar nerve in the hand. See, ulnar nerve passing superficial to the flexor retinaculum along with ulnar vessels. Is it? So, ulnar nerve passing superficial to the flexor retinaculum. Right? And if you wanted to tell relations, it is present lateral to the pisiform bone, medial to the ulnar vessels. That means here ulnar vessels are present. Is it? Here ulnar vessels are present. So, ulnar nerve present lateral to the pisiform bone, medial to the ulnar vessels. Right? So, it is passing superficial to the flexor retinaculum, or if you wanted to be very specific, it is passing through the Guyon's canal, or it is passing deep to the volar carpal ligament. Then after entering into the palm, it divides into deep branch, this is deep branch, and this is superficial branch. First we will discuss about superficial branch. Superficial branch gives one twig. It gives one twig to which muscle? One subcutaneous muscle is there over the hypothenar eminence. Right? So what is that muscle? Let me draw that muscle here. What is that muscle? Subcutaneous muscle. Palmaris brevis. Right? So superficial branch will give one muscular branch. That muscular branch is supplying to the palmaris brevis muscle. Right? After that, it divides into one proper digital branch. This proper digital branch passing along the ulnar side of little finger. For what? For supplying. Right? And it gives another branch, that is common palmar digital nerve. So this is proper digital nerve and this is common palmar digital nerve. This common palmar digital nerve, when it reaches to the interdigital cleft between the little finger and ring finger, it divides into two proper digital nerves. These proper digital nerves supplies adjacent sides of little finger and ring finger. Here this is the communicating branch from the median nerve. This communicating branch from the median nerve communicates with the common palmar digital nerve of superficial branch of ulnar nerve. That means superficial branch of ulnar nerve supplying to the medial 1.5 digit and corresponding nail beds. So this is how superficial branch of ulnar nerve is distributing. Right? Now what is this deep branch? It passes along with the deep branch of ulnar artery. Right? So it passes in between these two muscles. What are these two muscles? Flexor digiti minimi, abductor digiti minimi. Right? After passing in between these two muscles, it pierces the opponent's digiti minimi. Once it pierces the opponent's digiti minimi, this nerve will be present in between the opponent's digiti minimi and fifth metacarpal bone. Is it or not? See here. This is first metacarpal bone, this is second metacarpal bone, this is third metacarpal bone, this is fourth, and this is fifth metacarpal bone. If you draw schematic view like this is ulnar nerve. Ulnar nerve dividing into superficial branch and deep branch. Is it? So first if we take superficial branch, imagine this is superficial branch. Right? This superficial branch divides into proper digital and common digital. Okay, they are supplying to the lateral 1.5 finger. Right? So that we have discussed here only. Right? No much description here. Here what we have to describe in detail is deep branch. So this is deep branch of ulnar nerve. So this deep branch of ulnar nerve passes deeply. It passes deeply or it passes posteriorly in between these two muscles. What are these two muscles? Flexor digiti minimi and abductor digiti minimi. Right? Then it becomes deep. After passing in between, it pierces the opponent's digiti minimi. That I cannot show here, but remember that this nerve will pierce the opponent's digiti minimi and it will be present in between the opponent's digiti minimi and fifth metacarpal bone. Right? After that, it will be present over the hook of the hamate. Then it turns laterally or it travels laterally and terminates after supplying to the, what is this muscle? Adductor pollicis, right? So this is the course of deep branch of ulnar nerve. When it is traveling in this way, it will supplies all the muscles which are present in relation with this nerve, right? So what are those? See here, this nerve is supplying to the flexor digiti minimi, abductor digiti minimi, right, and opponens digiti minimi. And here third and fourth lumbricals are not supplied by medial nerve. So these two muscles are supplied by deep branch of ulnar nerve. Then what are these muscles? Palmar intrasei and dorsal intrasei. So this is fourth, third, second and first palmar intrasei, then fourth, third, second and first dorsal intrasei, right? Then occasionally it may supplies to the deep head of, what is this muscle? Flexor pollicis brevis, right? So it may supply, that's what I have drawn with dotted lines, right? So this is how it will be distributed. Actually deep branch of ulnar nerve present within the concavity of deep palmar arch, right? So after passing through the flexor digiti minimi, abductor digiti minimi, then it pierces the opponens digiti minimi, where it will be present in between the opponens digiti minimi and fifth metacarpal bone, right? Then it travels laterally within the concavity of deep palmar arch. Then it passes laterally and terminates after supplying to the adductor pollicis. What is this? Adductor pollicis. During its course, it will be distributing to the almost all intrinsic muscles of hand except 5 muscles. What are the 5 muscles? These thenar muscles and first 2 lumbricals, right? Except those 5 muscles, all intrinsic muscles of hand supplied by ulnar nerve. The ulnar nerve we are calling as musician's nerve. To control fine movements, ulnar nerve is very important. So that's what ulnar nerve we can also call as musician's nerve. But median nerve, what we are calling? Laborer's nerve. Almost all anterior aspect of forearm muscles are supplied by median nerve, right? And median nerve we can also call as eye of palm. Why? For suppose if you close your eyes and if anyone comes and gives one object to your hand, without seeing, by means of touch sense itself, you can identify the object. Actually that phenomenon what we call stereognosis, that we will discuss later. But here mostly these lateral 3 fingers only involving in this function for identification of object with closure of eyes. That's what hand can see in dark by means of median nerve. That's what median nerve we can also call as eye of hand. Should I repeat it? Very simple. Ulnar nerve passes superficial to the flexor retinaculum through the Guyon's canal deep to the volar carpal ligament, enters into the palm, where it divides into superficial branch and deep branch. Superficial branch will give one muscular branch. That muscular branch will supply to the palmaris brevis. Then it will divides into one proper digital nerve which supplies to the ulnar side of little finger and one common digital nerve which supplies to the adjacent sides of little finger and ring finger. Then it will be communicating with the communicating branch from the median nerve. Then deep branch. Deep branch passes deep in between the flexor digiti minimi, abductor digiti minimi. Then it pierces the opponens digiti minimi and it will be present in between the fifth metacarpal bone and opponens digiti minimi. Then it turns laterally, passes within the concavity of deep palmar arch and terminates after supplying to the adductor pollicis. Right? Within its course, it supplies to the flexor digiti minimi, abductor digiti minimi, opponens digiti minimi, all palmar and dorsal intrasei, third and fourth lumbricals and adductor pollicis. Occasionally deep head of flexor pollicis brevis. Along with these muscles, deep branch will supply to the wrist joint also. That means articular branches to the wrist joint. So this is the course of ulnar nerve. Now we will see applied aspects. Ulnar nerve will be injured mostly at 3 places. One is behind the medial epicondyle and one is at the cubital tunnel. Cubital tunnel means what? The passage between the two heads of flexor carpi ulnaris. and another point is in front of the wrist. These three areas are most common sites for the injury of ulnar nerve. If there is injury here, what will happen? First we will see motor symptoms. See, ulnar nerve is supplying almost all intrinsic muscles and also hypothenar muscles. So, hypothenar muscles will be paralyzed. So that hypothenar eminence will be lost. That means wasting of hypothenar eminence. So that ulnar aspect of hand become flattened. Right? Then here lumbricals, palmar and dorsal interossei, they are flexing the MCP joint and extending the interphalangeal joints. So if these muscles are paralyzed, what will happen? Opposite action. That means hyperextension at the MCP, flexion at interphalangeal joints. This deformity what we are calling claw hand deformity, ulnar claw hand deformity. Little finger and ring finger affected more than the index finger and middle finger. Right? So this deformity what we are calling ulnar claw hand deformity. Then these palmar interossei and dorsal interossei are paralyzed and become wasted. So wasting of palmar and dorsal interossei leads to hollowing in between the metacarpal bones. That means we can see grooves in between the metacarpal bones because these muscles are paralyzed and atrophied. So because of wasting of palmar and dorsal interossei, hollowing between the metacarpal bone. Then see here, adductor pollicis is also supplied by ulnar nerve. Adductor pollicis also will be paralyzed. So there is no proper adduction because adductor pollicis is also paralyzed. These are the motor symptoms. Then what are sensory symptoms? Loss of sensation or paresthesia, hyposthesia, anesthesia based on degree of injury over the medial 1.5 digit and also over the nail beds. Actually, ulnar nerve not only supplying to the medial 1.5 digit, it also supplies to the medial half of the dorsum of hand. So these are the sensory symptoms. Then what are vasomotor changes? Due to involvement of sympathetic nervous system, blood vessels will be dilated so that the area become warm, and loss of sweating so that skin become scaly and dry and nails become cracked. So these are the vasomotor and trophic changes. Then what are the tests for ulnar nerve injury? One test called Froment's sign. See, if we give one piece of paper or book to the patient, right, and imagine this is the hand of patient and this is the examiner's hand. Okay, patient is holding the book like this or the paper like this. If you ask the patient to pull the paper, if it is normal, we will hold like this and we will pull like this. But here adductor pollicis is paralyzed, so there is no adduction. That's what, to compensate, flexor pollicis longus will be contracted. So the terminal phalanx will be flexed. That means the interphalangeal joint of thumb will be flexed. So instead of holding like this, you will hold like this. That means here flexion. If you hold like this, that means his adductor pollicis is paralyzed. So this muscle is not acting, which indicates what? Injury to the ulnar nerve. So the test is positive. Clear? So this is how we can test the ulnar nerve injury. Right? So this is about ulnar nerve course, relations, distribution and applied aspect. I hope you understood. That's it for this session.